Hey Riley Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Anna podcast. We'll talk about all things writing in today's episode. I'm just really excited to be doing a little bit more of an update, a chatty sort of video, a podcast where I'm just going to be giving you guys some little bit of details of what's been going on in my life, my writing pursuits, and my projects, and exciting news also. So I'm really excited to get just like into this video podcast. I keep saying video podcast because I film my video podcast. So if you're listening in just with audio, I'm sorry. I'm just used to this. Anyways, let's stop rambling and just get on to updates. Again, sorry if my brain is a little bit, I don't know why I keep saying again. I say that so much in my videos where I'm like, again, but I've never mentioned it prior. So, by the way, my mind might be a bit crazy because I'm doing updates. So it's a lot more of a talkative video. So I'm not very linear. Okay. With that out of the way, let's get on to the episode. Okay, updates. So in terms of my life, I have started up uni again. Woo! Woohoo! So it's like kind of like the second semester of the year. And I realize it's really different from like America and other parts of the world because we have like a whole year from January to December, but it's different. So it's like the second sort of half of the year. And I was honestly extremely scared coming back into uni because I was not mentally prepared, but I actually was okay. Like, especially week one, which was last week, was so chill, and you basically do no work. It's just like a course overview of like all your courses. So like it was pretty chill. So I was so thankful and grateful that like I wasn't too overwhelmed. But it's starting to kick in now, which is totally great. And because of that, I haven't actually been filming, I haven't been editing or even writing these last 2 weeks because I've been just so busy and preoccupied with other things. But in terms with my writing updates, I've been working on Project O on and off sometimes at uni. But I haven't written like, I wouldn't call it like a writing session, if you know what I mean. Um, but I've been trying to finish Project O, which has been such a huge like struggle. I don't know why this book has taken me so long. And I think I've opted to like I think this is also maybe like a tip if you're struggling in your first draft or your zero draft, is where you get to a point in your book where you want to write it, but you're just like so unmotivated and kind of burnt out. What you basically do is write dot points of what happens and stop telling it as a narrative structure, and instead, write in very simple sentences. This happens, kind of like scene blocks, and that's what I've been doing. And that literally makes like my progress so much more. So I'm like far into the book now. And there's just so many themes I want to touch up on, and there's lots of things that have happened in the book that are kind of like foreshadowing, but then I'm like, I need to remember those things and actually include them. And it's just a lot of things to remember. And I know like that's the reason it's like this, zero draft, you should relax, but like still, I want to make it as strong as possible. So then when I come back to it in my next draft, I can be at least a little bit more confident about my book. In terms with some more exciting news, I might be having a short story kind of published in like a magazine very soon. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't think it's that dramatic, but it's going to be like probably my first published work, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. I would love to share the context of the story, but I literally can't. But it's basically I wrote a poem and I wrote a short story inspired by that poem, kind of like exploring the themes within it. And I am extremely proud of that short story. It kind of went through two drafts, and that's kind of what I've been working on for a couple weeks or like a month, which has been so fun and just a really cool opportunity. And I can't wait to share more with you guys. But in terms of the actual story, I realize how important it is to me, and it's so interesting. Like that's kind of like my first published kind of work. Or at least posted somewhere like online where you guys can like actually read it. Like it's not like Readsy, it's not like, on my YouTube channel. It's like an actual space you can read my work. So I'm really, really pumped for that. And just, yeah, I'm really, really proud of that story. And I think it speaks so much about my writing journey, and specifically my life. So it's literally like what like my biggest fear. Like if you read the short story, that is my biggest fear in the whole world. So be excited for that. Other updates. I mean, I kind of have been thinking about starting a new project, and I know it's like I don't even have an idea about starting a new project. It's more so just like I want to have that like excitement about starting a new project, but I know I don't have any new ideas at the moment and I don't have any new pursuits. I really got to focus on finishing my drafts like Project Prison. I really want to work on Project Ghost. I've been working on querying. That's a big update too. Let's talk about that for a second. Querying. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know what is happening, and I am terrified. It's definitely a hard process. It's literally like how they explain it is like to like get an agent, and you gotta like email people. It's literally screaming into the void. It's basically like Writer Twitter. Like I'm on Writer Twitter, and like no one sees me. That's how it feels about querying, but it's so much more scary because it's your work that you've worked like years on, and yeah, I'm really, really interested in this process. I definitely think I've learned a lot, even if I've gotten like only rejections back, because I know in a live stream I did quite recently, I kind of got accepted or kind of offered to write to like publish a book. But I realized that that sort of publishing house was more so like a hybrid sort of publishing house where I like remember like researching this a lot. But there's like, I'll hopefully do a video, and I do have like a vlog hopefully coming in the future about like the process of querying and what I've learned so far, so you guys can like learn from me, because I had no idea getting into it. And literally the best thing to do, so I'm like wearing my PJs if you can see, the best thing to do is literally go straight head on. I was planning on querying this book, Project Ghost, at the end of the year, but I'm just like, you know what? I just want to freaking do it. So I did it, and I learned a lot. But it's also like you don't really need to learn much. You just got to like get lucky in a way. But yeah, that's been a whole experience. Again, I don't want to say too much because I want to share it in a vlog styled video and maybe some more talkative videos. But it's been crazy just learning about like the differences between traditional publishing and self-publishing, getting an agent, what a query letter looks like, what is like a hybrid publisher, how to know what to put in your like synopsis to sell your book. Like, is it like a blurb? Like, what is it? And yeah, it's really, really interesting, the whole process. And I definitely think, I learned that what I want is to get an agent. And I mean, I'm not gonna go too into this because I actually like filmed my like self, and it was not a great time. I just woke up one day and I watched someone's video. And they just got a query back, and they got representation. They got an agent, and I was just crying because not because I was jealous, but just because of like they showed like this author tuber showed, them starting querying and then finishing the video with an agent, and I'm just like, like I know it didn't actually take that long, but it's like that sort of psychology, or like that sort of my mind is not okay. But that was really interesting. So I was literally crying because I was like, I'm never going to get published. I'm in Australia. It's harder here in Australia than like in America. I don't even know if there's like any agents, or like, am I allowed to even, query to international agents? Is my book good enough? Like, I even got a rejection back recently, like a week ago, which was basically saying, we don't do novellas. Sorry. So they didn't even read my synopsis. They didn't even read my email. They're just like, oh, it's a novella. Sorry, we can't do that. And I realized like it's really interesting because all of my favorite books are such short novels. And also, sorry, my mind is really not great. But in terms with novellas, I realized that it's harder like selling a debut novel as a novel, which doesn't even make sense because they say like you can't have a long book to like be a debut novel because they'll have to like pay more and like for the pages or whatever. I'm just like, what? So my short book is short, and you're wanting a longer book. I don't know. I'm just a firm believer in like what belongs in a story belongs in a story, and what doesn't. So why would I add things to the story if I don't think it's going to make a difference or enhance anything? So that's been a question in my mind. And my favorite bestie, Tiana Masick, she is beautiful. She actually read my book finally, Tiana. Thank you, Tiana. She's amazing, and she actually read my book recently, and her comments are amazing, and just her hyping me up and asking such good questions about the plot and if these things make sense, and me like being able to explain myself and hopefully find new ways to make that more obvious in the book. Get a friend who's a writer to read your work, because I've had like a reader read my work and he had some really good points, but it wasn't very constructive, which of course is fine. I just want some like, expression to how the book was. But having someone who critiques your work, who actually wants to make it better, like that is what you need. As a writer, especially as like someone who's put their heart and soul into this book and simply wants to make it better and have that critique, and not being scared of that and actually embracing it and embracing ways to improve. So that's been a thing. Working on Project Ghost, of course, again, working on Project O as well. And I've been trying to work on Project BB, but that's been very much a standstill project. I still haven't finished it, y'all. It's been like 2 years and I'm still in the first draft. I'm at like 74K and I think it's going to be a 100K book. So like, yeah, I think it's just, I'm not in my fantasy era right now, but I think I definitely will. Hopefully in the holidays, I think I'll definitely get back there. If I just simply like, I'm watching The Witcher, which is a good, thing to get me into fantasy, the new season of Witcher. So yeah, hopefully I work on Project O, Project Ghost, continually revising, then Project BB. They're my 3 projects. And then actually I did like a whole plan about like my projects one time at uni, and I was just like breaking down the things I want to work on. And I do actually want to revisit Project CZ and actually work on that fully into next year. So that's going to be like my priority project after I finish these half-finished books. So yeah, I can finally start anew in a new fresh and a fresh. Yes. Anyways, I think that's kind of like most of my updates, my life updates, stuff like that. Something I did actually want to talk about, this is not really related too much, but I think it's extremely interesting. And it is the fact that I did this on like one of my Instagram posts or something. And if you guys don't follow my Instagram, please do. It's _Ananu. I'm trying to get up to 10K by the end of the year. I hope I do. But anyways, I do like little like daily posts and I do like a whole spiel about something. And I was thinking really hard one day about how amazing it is and how kind of creepy it is that writers imagine emotions that they've never had. Like, for example, I've never really lost anyone close to me, but I've written it in like project I first met in a graveyard, And I think I realized it while I was looking over the comments of Tiana and how she was reading my book. She's like, wow, you write. I mean, like, she was talking about anxiety and like a sort of scene about Red, the main character, having anxiety and how I portrayed it really well. Yes, I've had anxiety, but like still, you have to kind of put yourself in another character's, emotion. And although like people have shared experience, it is still a different individual experience. And finding little tiny things that are different from you to portray that sort of emotion. For example, with Red in Project Ghost, she has this sort of dissociation sort of habit where when she's having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, she sees herself from a bird's eye view, looking down like from far, far when it just keeps like floating up and up and up, which is really interesting because that's never happened to me. But for some reason, I came up with that and I didn't really like know that that was a thing, but it is for her, which is interesting. And even stuff about love, like I've never really been in love, infatuated with someone before, but I write about it in my books. And oh, that was Kitty. I don't know if you heard her. But yeah, isn't that interesting how we're such empaths? We are such empaths, which is actually a bad thing sometimes, but also sometimes a good thing because writers are so quiet, but they're so emotional. And it's so interesting that we're able to share that and use that emotion through our characters and through our plots, and simply like write stories about experiences we've never ever had, which is so interesting that we even have that calling to that certain emotion, to that certain experience, because a lot of people, at least a lot of older writers, not older writers, but like more mature writers, they write about life experiences. But as young people, we don't have huge life experiences. I mean, we definitely might. And I definitely have lots of themes in my books which come from trauma and feelings that I've had when I was a girl. But a lot of specific things I've never experienced before. And it's so interesting that we have such an imagination to imagine these sorts. Kitty, stop. I don't know if you can hear it outside. That we have like such, such a good imagination that we can literally think about feelings we've never ever had before and portray them in a way that's so realistic and so deep. So Kitty wants to let me. Kitty, I need to let Kitty in, or else she's gonna keep meowing. So I'll probably end the episode here. There's so many things I want to talk about. Like, I don't know if you guys have been up on my Instagram, but I've been writing a lot of poetry. A lot of poetry. All because of this damn boy. There's a boy I met, and like, oh my gosh, it's not okay. And like, I think where I was going with that former conversation was the fact that being in love helps write poetry, which is really interesting. Obviously. So I guess in that sort of reflection, you're allowed, like as a writer, you're allowed to like imagine emotions you've never had. But once you have those emotions, you realize how different they are, how more real and close they are to you. Because I kind of always detach myself from particular projects because I've never really felt that way before. For example, like Project O, with Lewis and Alex. Like Lewis has a romantical interest in Alex. Like I'm not a guy, right? But writers still are able to imagine that sort of emotion. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's still the same. Like still like I've never been in love and Lewis is in love with Alex. Now I'm kind of in love. So what does that do? Like, I don't know. And I wonder how different it is, from like book magic to like human real magic. So that's really interesting. Yeah, don't worry. I overshare so much on these podcasts, so definitely check out my other podcasts if you want. I just uploaded actually a podcast with my sister, so definitely check that out. It's a long one, but it's a fun one, so definitely check that podcast out if you're free or just have like a few, minutes to listen in. But again, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded it too frequently on my channel recently. I've just been very busy with stuff, but thank you all for your support and amazing love and especially like honestly people who just like my stories on my Instagram. I literally love you. People who comment on these videos, I literally love you. Like the little things like sharing a video helps so much. So if you think you're not doing anything, you're doing so much for my channel and for my growth as a content creator and writer. So thank you so much. Again, also definitely check out on Fridays I do live write with me's on my YouTube and Discord. It will be all linked down below, but I go live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. EST. So definitely be there. But anyways, this podcast episode's been a bit of a longer one. I definitely wish I could have talked a little bit, but I literally need to catch the bus to go to uni now. So yeah, I love you guys and I hope to see you in my next writing video. Bye everyone.